Hi friends, today I'm starting a new topic called as bills of exchange. A new topic called as bills of exchange. See, um, most of you agree with me that if I want to go for expansion of business, just simply I cannot rely upon carrying of my activities as a trader, as a business person. I can't simply rely upon cash transactions. If you look at like my observation right from my childhood days, like um, in most of the, like if you look at from end customer point of view, during our times we never had supermarkets. We never have any supermarkets. People used to go to a small kirana shop, kirana merchant, where he used to supply the goods to the end customer. And we used to have like a wholesale shop, like in Usman Ganj, or nowadays we are having in Malakpet. So people used to go to that particular area if you want to buy wholesale. Retailers also go to wholesale shop to buy the goods, and they used to supply the goods to the end customer. They during those times we used to have called as a kata. Kata means selling the goods on credit basis. Now with the um, commencement or starting of the supermarkets, like we got in, if I remember, if I'm not wrong, we were having two supermarkets called as Aarti Supermarket, Trinetra Supermarket. I'm talking about 25 years back. They started a supermarket, and Trinetra Supermarket went for going for expansion of the business. They have started throughout this, both Telugu states. Then that has been taken away by Bangalore concern, and then later on it has been taken by Aditya Birla Group. Now that is what is called as more supermarket. So we are having lot of, you see, significant change in the activities of a provisional stores or a general stores or whatever the name you call them as. So during those days, I told you, before the supermarket, people used to buy the goods. People used to buy the goods on credit basis. Now I'm not talking about those activities, but the why I've started telling that is that if there is no kata, no credit, I think people never used to go. If I we try to adjust ourselves during that days, most of the families were middle class families only, because they, most of them are government employees. Like they're confirmed that they'll be getting salary and so date. There are very few organizations where you will be having private employees, but the salary that they used to pay is very less. We got some companies, topmost companies like Tata company or Birla group of companies. We were having those companies also. Having said, but this is it's like a public limited company. They all can be called as a public limited companies or limited companies. Now, the main important thing is, if you want to really go for expansion of business, you need to encourage credit sale. So this topic intention is that for any business, the credit is the backbone of the modern business, and it is a very a powerful instrument to promote sales. In most of the business, a large number of transactions take place on credit. So we talk about here, in most of the businesses, a large number of transactions take place on credit. It is between, I'm talking about now, I'm not talking about the end customers, like we all are end customers. I'm not talking about that now. I'm talking about the transaction between two traders. Two traders. Who are two traders, sir? Manufacturer and wholesaler, or wholesaler and retailer. Okay. So in most of the business, a large number of transactions take place on credit. In case of a credit transaction, if you look at it, we are having two types of transaction. We had discussion in the beginning of the class: cash transaction, credit transaction. In case of credit transaction, the buyer promises the seller that he will pay, the buyer promises the seller that he will pay the amount of goods purchased after a certain period. This promise can either be word or a mouth or in writing. For example, A has sold goods to B. as A has sold goods to B for rupees 50,000. I'm talking about A is a trader, B is also a trader. Between two traders, this A is a seller, B is a buyer. Okay, and sold goods to be on credit. On credit, A has sold goods to be on credit for how much? 50,000 rupees. Now, B says that he is going to make a payment after 1 month. Now, this promise can either be by word of mouth or in writing. You tell me, if we all are in the position of A, can we trust him? Amount is not small amount, it's a big amount. Can we trust that he is going to pay 50,000 after 1 month? It's not a small amount. After 1 month, he may change his view. Sorry, is money tight. I can't make a payment. Circulation is tight. I can't make payment. He may say that. So what is that guarantee that A is going to have from B that he is going to make a payment? Okay. So that is why, which is better? Oral, word of mouth is better or in writing better? You all agree with me, in writing is better. It is like evidence. So we can say simple words. A bill of exchange now is an acknowledgement of a debt. Why I tell you bill of exchange is an acknowledgement of debt? It is a written promise. It made in a proper form. It is taken as if the payment has been made by the buyer. That means a written promise is in the form of a bill of exchange. Now, A feels that when he's having bill of exchange, he feels that the payment has already been made by the buyer, because this is an instrument which is possessed by A. That means buyer is in writing say confirming that he is going to make a payment after 1 month. This promise, acknowledgement of a debt, it's a promise. This promise in writing is two types. This promise in writing is of two types. Those two types are called as A, bills of exchange, B, promissory note. Bill of exchange, B, promissory note. It will be confusing, otherwise let me put A and B means, again you may mistake in this. So the promise in writing is of two types. A, bills of exchange, B, promissory note. Sir, what is the difference between these two? The top topic heading is that you said, sir, bills of exchange, but you are talking about promissory note. Yes, let me come to this now. Let me first explain bills of exchange, promissory note, and why we'll be calling this as a bills of exchange. See, the commercial practices mean that between the traders have developed these written promises into valuable instruments on credit. These are called as valuable instruments. These two are called as valuable instruments, which is having some value. Valuable instruments. In commercial practices, I think the traders have started believing it is a valuable instruments. So now what is the difference between bill of exchange and promissory note? I'll tell you, these two topics, bills of exchange and promissory note, is being governed by Negotiable Instrument Act of 1881. You'll be learning that in IPC, CA Inter law. If you look at the definition part, according to section 5 of the negotiable, just no need to worry about this, just I am giving for information. It's not so relevant from examination point of view, just listen this. Um, According to Section 5 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881, a bill of exchange is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order signed by the maker. That means, who is the maker generally? In this case, the maker is, example is A. A seller can be maker. Maker directing a certain person. Who is certain person? B. A sum of money, to pay sum of money. What is sum of money? 50,000 rupees only to the order of a certain person. Order means either to himself or to the bearer of the instrument. That means whether either on the due date, either A will be approaching B, or A may be appointing some other person, say C, to go and collect the money from B. So that means it is order. Bill of exchange order. A is ordering that you sign it and you tell me that you're going to make a payment on so and so day. And that order has to be obliged and has to be accepted by whom? B. Then it is called as bills of exchange. Simple words, a bill of exchange is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order without putting any condition. It's an order that straight away you have to make a payment. Okay, this is called as bills of exchange. Now, first, who has to draw this bill of exchange? Tell me. The maker. Maker is nothing but, he is called, technically he will be called as a drawer. He is called as a drawer. The person on whom the bill is being drawn is called as a drawee. That means the instrument which is being drawn means being prepared on other person. Such a person is called as a drawee. And it's order, it's not a request. That he is selling. When he is selling, can he request, please you make a payment? Who has approached A? B has approached. So who is having the right to order? A. It must contain order, not a request. Please make a payment, not a request. That is why it's been saying order. Which is having more relevant, order or request? Order is commanding, commanding. I'm commanding. A is commanding B to make a payment. The order must be to pay money and not goods. See, A has sold goods to B has to give the money. That's it. That be tomorrow, no, sorry, I don't have money. You please take the goods. No. The order is asking B to make a payment. The sum payable must be specified. That amount must be mentioned there. 50,000 rupees you need to pay. And that money must be payable to different person. Means to either A or whoever is carrying that bearer. Bearer means the person who is carrying. If he himself is carrying the instrument A to the B on the due date, he is called as a bearer or some other person. And that amount should be payable within stipulated time. I say 1 month. That 1 month on that, after completion of 1 month, B should, suppose if the duration is for 1 month, at 1 month he must make a payment. And it must be properly stamped. It must be properly stamped. It must be properly stamped means here that bill has to be properly stamped as per Indian Stamps Act we are having, and that is what I told you, it is a valuable instrument. So if tomorrow B is unable to make payment, it is called as dishonor of making payment. Then A can sue B. Breach of promise. You have not made a payment, I can sue you. That is what. So that is why this document is having legal validity also. Then I told you second point is promissory note. We don't have any significance for this. Having said, sir, the term is, as you have said, that it is a bill of exchange chapter. But having said, only the difference is that promissory note, normally you see, I promise to make a payment. Here in this case, A is ordering B to make a payment. And in case of promissory note, most of us are aware of. I think you can go to a stationery shop, you can get a promissory note, pro forma of a promissory note also. Generally, we see this promissory note in case of financing the money. Now, the promissory note is being made by the buyer. Okay, promissory note is made by the buyer. Here, that means in case of bills of exchange, bills of exchange is being prepared by the seller. But in case of the above example, if you can see, In the above example, if you can see, who is going to make a note B, that is the buyer is going to say, I promise to make a payment to you. But the concept is same. Either A is ordering B to make a payment on a certain day, on a specified date, or B is promising to make. But the logic is that in both the cases, they are valuable instruments. Now we also have got the definition of section 4 of Negotiable Instrument Act. A promissory note is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional undertaking. Their order, like you say, undertaking. When you go to a principal, nowadays they're asking for examination. Recently my daughter has written one examination. They were asking, you have to, whether you are having free from COVID, or whenever you're going for hospital treatment, undertaking. I have not contacted any person, I have not contacted anybody. You need to give like a self declaration, we say. Like undertaking, you should give undertaking. Okay, so it's a kind of undertaking signed by the maker. So in both the cases of whoever is preparing, in case of bill of exchange, who is signing that document, who is prepared? A. And in case of promissory note, who is going to sign, who is going to prepare this document? B. So signed by the maker to pay a certain sum of money only to the or order to certain person of the instrument. That means here initiation is coming from, in the case of bill of exchange, initiation is coming from A. In the case of promissory note, initiation coming from B. Now in the case of bill of exchange, that this A is ordering B, first A is signing, then B will accept it by signature. But in case of B himself, buyer himself is putting the signature. You don't need any signature of A. Because it's in both the cases, either A is preparing the bill, making the bill, ordering the B to make a payment. The B, after seeing it, accepting it, will be sending it back to A. In case of promissory note, B straight away is preparing that I will be making a payment on so and so day to a so and so person, specified person, for 50,000 rupees on so and so day. That the bill is being signed by B, and that will be given back to A. You'll be learning much about this in law, my dear friends. Yes, this is bills of exchange accounting treatment. That is why I'm not giving much significance to this. Now, in both the cases, it must be in writing. But if you look at the promissory note, it must contain a clear promise to pay. Is clear promise to make a payment. I'm going to make a payment. Mere acknowledgement of debt is not a promissory note. Just it's not acknowledgement. I promise to pay. The promise must be unconditional. There should not be any condition. If I am promising, if I get that money on that so and so date, then I can make a payment. No, that is called as conditional promise. I don't want any condition to that. Unconditional promise. I promise to pay 50,000 rupees. Okay. As soon as I can, if I say as soon as I can, is not an unconditional promise. It is conditional promise. As soon as I can get means, if you don't get, that means you are not going to pay. No, it's a false promise. It's a false promise. The promisor or maker must sign the promissory note. Generally, the buyer. For you to understand, in this case, who is the promisor? Buyer. The maker must be a certain person. Certain person means a buyer. Okay. And in this case, the sum payable must be certain. I told you. I promise to pay 50,000. Okay. Certain means plus all fine. I say all fine means how much fine? You know, don't know. Simply you should mention that the sum payable must be certain. I promise to pay 50,000. That's it. Plus all fine means any delay. That how can you say all fine means how much? No, we don't know. So it's not a certain. So the amount is to be certain. And payment must be in legal currency of the country. Okay. It should be properly stamped. Okay. Now coming back to this now, sir. How to record bills of exchange, promissory notes, sir? For accounting purpose, here I am writing a note. For accounting purpose, Promissory notes are considered. For accounting purpose, promissory notes are considered. Promissory notes are considered as bills of exchange. That is why we are having chapter called as, actually, technically speaking, legally speaking rather, bills of exchange. Legally speaking, both are different. Both are having different meaning. But when it comes to accounting purpose, promissory notes are considered bills of exchange. So that is why we won't be looking at promissory note. That is why you'll be learning about these things in a law. Is this clear? Now, coming back to the main point, which is significant for our understanding. Theory part I have covered. So the main points I'll be explaining here. Point number 1. A bill of exchange is an acknowledgement of a debt. A bill of exchange is an acknowledgement of a debt. A bill of exchange is an acknowledgement of a debt. Now, parties to bill of exchange. Parties to bill of exchange. In the above example, I have given that A is a seller, B is a buyer. Parties to bill of exchange. Initially, we will be calling, for us to understand, seller, buyer, or we can call seller as a buyer. In this case, is a maker. One who prepares bill, maker A, and the person who is accepting the bill called is acceptor. Maker, acceptor. Then the same maker is called as a creditor. Creditor. And the acceptor is called as a debtor. Clear to all of you? Seller, or say seller, two parties side to first party, second party, seller or buyer, maker or acceptor, or creditor. I wrote written creditor or debtor. Next, or technically speaking, in this, the person one who is making the bill is called as a drawer. The person on whom the bill is being drawn is called as a drawee. These two terms we will be using in the problems. So the person who is drawing the bill is called as a drawer. The person on whom the bill is being drawn is called as a drawee. Clear to all of you? That means totally we are having two parties. Apart from the two parties, we are also having one more party called as payee. So how many parties are there? Three parties. Drawer, drawee, finally this is what? I think technically speaking, first part is drawer, second part is called as drawee, third part is called as payee. These three terms we shall discuss now. Drawer. The person who draws a bill. The person who draws a bill is known as drawer. is known as drawer. Drawee. The person on whom the bill is drawn is known as drawee. In simple words, is also called as acceptor. Simple words is also called as a maker. Maker of the bill, acceptor of the bill, drawee. Third person, I told you, payee. The person who collects, or say we receives the money on the due date, means the date on which the payment is to be made, on the due date. That is the date on which the payment is to be made. The date on which the payment is to be made is called as payee. Is called as payee. But here I wish to give something note. So if suppose drawer is collecting the money from the drawee on the due date, that as I told you, A is collecting the money from B in the above example, then the drawer and payee can be one and the same. Payee, the person who will collects or receive the money on the due date, is called as payee, So here, if drawer himself collects the money collects the money on the due date, then drawer and payee are one and the same. That means, in the above case, if I told you A is collecting the money from B on the due date after 1 month, then A also can be called as a payee. If A is directing C to collect, C is going to collect the money from B, then C is called as a payee. If suppose A directly himself is collecting the money on the due date from B for collecting 50,000 rupees, then A is called as a payee. Simple words, who is payee, my dear friends? The payee is a person, one who collects the money. Payee is the person who collects the money on the due date. Okay, these three things we have learned. So, now, we have already seen that three terms which we have underlined, we have gone through that. Now, we discuss about what is bills receivable, what is bill payable. What is the meaning of bills receivable and what is the meaning of bills payable? Okay, now, I told you for Drawer, in the above example A, it is a bill receivable. It is a bill receivable. But drawee, in the above example, is B. The above example B, it is a bills payable. It is a bills payable. Now we are talking about here the due date. Sir, what is due date, sir? Meaning of due date. Now if you look at the date on which the date on which the date on which the term of bill, the term of the bill expires is called as due date. That means term means the on that day, like we see that electricity bill due date is so and so before 18th of month, or water bill before the due date, or telephone bill before the due date. We'll be seeing that in the whenever we get utility utility bills. The same is the case. The date on which the term of the bill expires is called as due date, or it is called as expiry date. And we are having a custom of allowing 3 grace days, because sometimes bank holidays are due to certain things. Generally 3 grace days are allowed. So every time bill is entitled to 3 days of grace. Three days of grace. Note, in case of a demand bill means they'll be asking, like there's no due date is mentioned. Whenever A is asking, suppose A has drawn a bill, it's a demand bill. Demand bill means whenever A is asking, B has to make a payment. There's no guarantee that when A is going to ask. So that is very dangerous. That when you are accept demand bill, whenever A is asking, so today he has sold, tomorrow he may ask you to make a payment, and B can't refuse that. That is why. So you may ask me, sir, then why should B accept, sir? If B is not accepting, A will not sell the good. That's simple. In case of a demand bill, grace days are ignored. What is grace days here? 3 days. Ignored. Now, Now, recently we have seen a maturity of a bill. Maturity of a bill. Maturity of a bill is nothing but due date, due date plus, see, due date means this is normally due, plus 3 grace days. Generally, maturity of bill question comes for time bills, not demand bill. Time bills means where time is mentioned. Demand bills where time is not mentioned. Due date plus 3 grace days. If you add here, due date means normally due plus 3 grace days. Then it becomes legally due. Due date plus 3 grace days is nothing but normally due. Legally due is nothing but maturity date. Now, the problem is that traditionally most of the authors, here I'm giving note to you, traditionally most of the authors, considers both due date, due date and the date of maturity is same. Okay, so simple words, traditional most of the authors consider both the due date and the date of maturity is same. So that is why we are using the term due date, legally due, which you are going to get after adding 3 days of grace. 3 days of grace. For time bills only. Time bills mean that specific time is mentioned. Time bills only. Clear to all of you? So, traditional most of the others consider both due date and the date of maturity is same. That is why we are using the term due date. Legally due, legal due means after adding 3 grace days, which you are going to get after adding 3 grace days. Due date. Which due date, how you are getting due date, nothing but legally due, which you are going to get after adding 3 days of grace. So, this is what we have seen in average due date chapter also. Note, because you are also having average due date, no? In average due date chapter, you will be learning that. In average due date chapter, we will be using the term due date only. That is normally due plus 3 grace days. Okay, this was significant when you are having MCQs in CPT. In CFO material, they have given term maturity date. Don't worry about it. So actually, maturity date, due date is same. But there they said due date plus 3 days maturity date. There the students are having confusion. That is why I'm giving the information. So their due date means normally due plus 3 days. Then it becomes maturity date. But in average due date chapter, we'll be using the term due date only, not maturity date. Now, due date means normally due plus 3 grace days. In case of bills, this is important. In case of bills, only we'll be adding 3 grace days, but not if it is not bills, we'll be learning that in average due date. If it is not a bills of exchange, then we won't be adding 3 grace days. In average due date chapter, we'll be using the term due date only, that is normally due plus 3 grace days. In case of bills only, what bills are? Time bills only. Clear to all of you? So today we have learned about so far the introduction part of the question. Today the most important thing is dates. Due date. We have learned the due date. What is due date, sir? Here. Normally due plus 3 grace days. It become legally due. That is what we are calling as a 3 grace days. It is also called as maturity date. But now, keeping in view average due date chapter, I will be using the term due date only. Now let me give an example. Example to explain this. Example. A has drawn a bill on B on 1/1/2020 for say 1 month. So now normally due 1/1/2018 plus 1 month. 1 month. Which is coming to 1st February. 1st February 2020. Now legally due. This is called as due date here. So I'm using due date only. So legally due for you to understand it. But my intention is that, okay, I'll put it legally due in bracket. So in keeping in view average due date topic also, I'm writing this due date is nothing but legally due or maturity date. So I'm using the which date now from examination point of view, discussing in future whenever I talk about due date for the bills of exchange, this is the term I'm using. I hope I'm not confusing you. Just I've given technically speaking. If you refer to study material tomorrow after completion of my lecturing, then you will be having the doubt. In our ICS study material, they have given maturity date as a due date. Don't worry about it. But when it comes to average due date, they have not used the term maturity date. So to avoid the confusion, we'll be using due date only, which is nothing but legally due, which is nothing but maturity date. So which term I am using, my dear friends? Due date. Due date is equal to, even I say material, if you say due date, you consider it as a normally due. You consider it as a normally due. Normally due means 1st February. So 1st February 2020 plus 3 grace days. I told you normally due plus grace days, that is 3 grace days. Then it becomes 4th February 2020. 4th February 2020 is the due date. Clear to all of you? Due date. I will be using the term on this date. A has to, on this date, B needs to make a payment to A. Clear to all of you? Note, if due date is a public holiday, no public holidays. Example, festivals, August 15th, January 26th, then April 1st in case of bank closing year, and September 30 bank holidays. Why? Because they are closing the books, and all Sundays public holiday. Example, festivals, August 15, January 26, April 1st, September 30. Festivals, how you'll be knowing, sir? It will be given in the gazette. That in the gazette, government gazette, they'll be giving this is the holiday. So and so is declared as a holiday according to their own tradition. We got different religions. According to the tradition, it will be decided which is the holiday. So all those days is considered as a public holiday. If due date is a public holiday, preceding date means before the date, before date. Suppose I told you 4th February is a public holiday, suppose in the above case. Then 3rd February, that is what? Preceding business day. We call it preceding business day. Preceding business day is considered as due date. Is considered as a due date. Okay. This is point number 1. If due date is happen to be a sudden holiday, just for orally speaking, I'm not writing. Sir, if preceding day is also holiday, preceding day, that means if 4th, I told you 4th February is a holiday. 3rd February is also holiday. 2nd February. Sir, 2nd February is a holiday, you can't help because 3 grace days, that is why 3 grace days has been given. Is this clear? 4th February is a holiday. 3rd February is all holiday, 2nd. And you can't ask him to go on making payment 1st February like that. So please remember, preceding business day is considered as a due date when it's a public holiday, if due date falls. So if due date is on sudden holiday, sudden holiday means like a prominent leader has expired, a prominent politician. Okay. Then succeeding day. If due date falls on sudden holiday, here succeeding day or next day is a due date. Okay, if due date falls on a sudden holiday, succeeding day means next day is a due date because you can't say preceding day is a holiday. Okay, next point. With this, the theory part will be completed, my dear friends. And one more important note you can say, this is note number 2, no? Note number 3. Due date or maturity date can be calculated either in number of days. Suppose you say 60 days or 40 days. You can calculate due date accordingly. Due date, maturity date can be calculated either in number of days. Just for your reference I am telling you, but we'll be following due date only. I told you number of days or number of months. Say 2 months bill, I can say 2 months. If it is 55 days, I will be adding 55 days. 1st January 55 days. 1st January plus 55 days plus 3 grace days. 1st January plus 1 month. Month will be added. Due date or maturity date can be calculated either in number of days or in number of months. Clear to all of you? Or in number of months. Now, next important point. A bill can be drawn at site on presentment. This is what is called a demand bill. On presentment, at site on presentment or on demand. A bill can be drawn at site on presentment or on demand. That is simple words. No due date. No need to calculate any due date. No need to calculate due date. No need to calculate due date. And grace days are not allowed. The reason is at site on presentment means when the bill is presented, payment is to be made. When the bill is presented, payment is to be made. Suppose I told you it is called as demand bill. A bill has been presented. I have drawn a bill today A and B has accepted. And after 1 week, if I want money, I will go to B and I will ask him to pay. No date will be mentioned in that. At site on presentment on demand means whenever a bill is presented for payment and whenever bill is presented, payment is to be made. That means there will not be any date on that. This is very dangerous for acceptor. So we don't have any problems on this. A bill can be drawn at site. Then second point. A bill can be drawn after site. After site means here the drawee, that is acceptor, after seeing the bill, then he gives his acceptance. So the due date is to be calculated from accepting the bill. In this case, the due date is to be calculated from the date of accepting. In this case, the due date is to be calculated from the date of accepting. Example, 1st January 2020, bill drawn. 4th February 2020, 3rd February 2020, bill accepted. Due date is equal to duration, say 1 month. Duration is say 1 month. Duration of the bill. So therefore, due date is equal to, you have to calculate from the date of accepting the bill, not from the date of drawing the bill. That is 3rd January 2020 plus 1 month plus how many grace days? 3 grace days. Then 3rd January plus 1 month means 4th January. 4th January plus 3 days will become, due date will become 7th February 2020. Yet all of you, 3rd January plus 1 month. 4th February. 4th February plus 3 grace, 7th. So that means we need to calculate from date of acceptance. This is called as after sight. Very rarely this will be given in the problem. This is important from MCQ once upon a time. Now for doing the problem, generally unless he gives you this one, we will be considering generally these two won't be there. Edge side won't be there. After sight is very rarely you may come across, having said. But edge side there will not be any issue. It will not be a topic for writing the entries itself. Because whenever he whenever he presents the bill, you need to make a payment. So after sight very rarely you may come across. Having said, if question comes, you please remember. But what are the problems we are working out? We are having the problems on this one. After date, most of the problems. This is important. We are having most of the bills are on this after date. We'll be discussing that when we are working out the problem. After date. So due date is to be calculated from the date of drawing the bill. See, we are giving grace days for both the cases. After sight, 3 grace days allowed. Allowed. Here, 3 grace days are not allowed. Here 3 grace days are allowed. Here also 3 grace days are. Due date is to be calculated from the date of drawing the bill. 3 grace days are allowed. So come on, tell me 3 grace days are allowed for after sight, after date. But at sight, no. At sight means when it is visible to you. Whenever the bill is given to you, you need to make a payment. No grace days. See, after sight, after date can be called as time bills, whereas at sight is called as demand bills. This in detail you will be learning in the law. Just to the extent which is needed for problem, I am explaining. 3 grace days are allowed. So in the above example, due date is equal to 1st January 2020 plus 1 month plus 3 grace days. Because I told you after date means due date is calculated from the date of. Here in the above example, which one we should take? 1st January 2020. If you take the same example, that is 1st January 2020 plus 1 month, 1st February plus 3 grace days, 4th February 2020. So this is how you should remember calculation of due date. So with this, the theory part has been completed, and in the next class we'll be starting the problem. Now the conclusion is that we got two types of bills. A, trade bills. We are having problems on two types of bills. B, accommodation bills. So initially we'll be focusing, tomorrow's class will be starting on trade bills. Accommodation bills we'll discuss later on. What is trade bills? What is the difference? Trade bills I have told you already. The bill drawn between two traders is called as trade bills. Accommodation bills, etc. We'll have a brief discussion when we go to the concerned topic problems. We'll have further discussion on that. The tomorrow session I'll be starting problems part. This theory part just to have a clarity only which is important from discussing from for doing the problems. Only one thing you should remember: due date. That's it. And to whatever we have discussed today, two terms: drawing, and due date. If you remember these two things, that's enough. Due date, how to calculate due date, we have discussed. Generally, problem will be after date, not after sight. Okay, so I think you have fair enough knowledge on this. Only thing I told you, the parties you should remember, and also due date. after site, at site, that generally won't be given. At site or on demand won't be given. So you will be having problems on either after site or after date. But from our material, or I say material, if writing the journal entries, most of the problems are on based on after date. That is why I told you important. After date means due date is to be calculated from the date of drawing the bill. Taking the second example, 1st January 2020 plus 1 month plus 3 grace days, it becomes 4th February 2020. Okay, my dear friends, I hope you got the clarity on this. We'll meet in the next class. Till then, goodbye. Thank you. God bless you.